Hello and good evening, everyone. I hope this finds you doing well on a Thursday. I'm Silver-Quill, thankfully a bit more organized than I was before. Thank goodness. And just glad to see folks, glad to have you here. Very thankful that you could sign up be here even on short notice. And I saw in the chat people like, what are you talking about short notice? You saw this in your feed 5 to 6 hours ago. It is true. But at the same time, not everyone gets the same notifications in time. Folks have their day-to-day lives. They have opportunities for other activities. So whether it's by choice or with limited forewarning, or if you saw this coming, I'm glad you're here. It all comes down to that. And so, therefore, I just hope everybody's doing well. It's been an active time. I missed you last week. But here I be, and hopefully here I can entertain. So, pardon me 1 sec. I'm just fulfilling a request for our friend. Well, I'm streaming Ovanya. There we go. And so, with that taken care of, I wish to give some hellos to all the fine people out there. Starting with Cherry Fluff Belly Official and Gojala 91, Komodo Steel. Enderpup can't join us this evening, but I appreciate the message, so hope to see you next time. Adam Leisman and Eiji the Ronin, Lee Shoran, Mary Drake, and Pokemon Fire Eevee, and Rodan, who wonders if I go by a script or if I just wing it. Nicely done, Rodan. Queen Day Knight, and Infinite Warlock. And there's a dog barking outside. I don't know if any of you can hear him. I like dogs. Oh, and Kamen Rider Engel, who apparently I claimed your attention when I showed fan art of your OC as Kamen Rider Ichigo and Nigo. Well, it's a little different than that, but I promise I shall do my utmost to explain myself. And hello, Inquisitor 751, who has fired me, and Pete. My brother's name is Pete. So, good to have you here. Meanwhile, over on the Twitch, we have Seth Moss 20, Amatian Lumity, and, just checking, Ven Pie. I missed you on the first go-round. Good to see you. And I think that's it for the moment. I apologies if I missed anyone. So you may be wondering, what in the hoo-ha-hey am I going on about? And also, what is a Kamen Rider? I believe it was Warlock who asked, so can anyone make sense of the main distinction between Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, besides the target demographic of their age ratings? Yes, I believe I can. So, first off, let me shift over to my streaming setup, where you will see two versions of Kamen Rider Silver-Quill. This is the persona I would like to adopt if doing videos on tokusatsu. If you don't know what tokusatsu is, that's a Japanese term for a show that has a higher effects budget than most. This includes Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, which came over to become Power Rangers. There have been, I believe, 50. Yeah, they're definitely celebrating the 50th anniversary of Super Sentai, even though it's like the 49th Super Sentai team. Kamen Rider Engel points out it's the dark single hero for demographic of young teens. And Warlock, you're familiar with Kamen Rider Double, which, boy, that was an interesting one. Sadly, we'll never get to see the live-action version of those actors again in Kamen Rider, because the boy who played, he was the Cyclone part of the duo. He apparently opened his own voice acting agency, and as such, he's been blacklisted from some participations. It's a very strange thing. Oh, good memory, Warlock. Garo would count as tokusatsu, and I believe that Ultraman would be a tokusatsu. But here's the main things I like about Kamen Rider. So let's walk it backwards. You had Power, well, I guess, yeah, backwards in terms of most recent. Power Rangers is a much more recent phenomena here in the West than Super Sentai was in Japan. But even before that, there was Kamen Rider. Now, the big thing about Kamen Rider is that it is usually the darker of the storylines. Case in point, the original Kamen Rider was abducted and augmented against his will, but they forgot to brainwash him so that he wouldn't turn on the organization. And boy, did they regret that. It's even become a joke in Miss Kritsu's Monster Development Squad, an anime that I recommend because I think it's pretty darn funny. But here's the thing I like most about Kamen Rider. Comparing it to Super Sentai, I like them both. But one of the strengths of Kamen Rider is Super Sentai is based on opposing forces. You have an enemy who's empowered by darkness, then the Super Sentai will be the team of the light. If they're invaders from the Earth, then they will be faced by a human squad from the surface. If they're invaders from space who believe in selfishness and might makes right, you're opposed by a knightly order. That's Ryu Soldier, and that's probably the most polite way I can describe that conflict. Ryu Soldier was not a big hit with me and my friends. Kamen Rider is different. Anytime a villain arises, they are faced by a lone fighter, or in Double's case, two figures that merge into one consciousness, that wields the same power as that enemy, but chooses to use it differently. It's all a choice. Also, hello to Nathan Duazo, Julie Goodwin, and Gaiety. Good to have y'all here. And here's the strange thing. The best Kamen Riders that I've gotten to watch, usually started with the older crop, the silliest transformation premise, in this case, both Gaim and Gav, fruits and candies, respectively, have some intensely dark and mature storytelling. So, to me, Kamen Rider is a bit more mature storytelling with more nuance to the characters, whereas Sentai is fun, energetic, and probably a little bit more family-oriented. Oh yes, Infinite Warlock, I have been watching the Red Ranger becomes a hero, or becomes an adventurer in the other world. And yes, Nathan Duazo, you are right on time. So glad to have you here. And so therefore, I want to talk about tokusatsu, but my pony persona is not really suited for that. Ergo, I started with this guy. This was my initial design looking over some of the Kamen Riders we've seen thus far. But then I had a revelation. One, there's no way, I don't have the hips to pull off this outfit. But also, I was at an anime convention here in Denver, and I got to see this guy, Agent Billy Kidd, from what was it called? Zen Zero. Really long name. It's really annoying. Excuse me a moment. Billy Kidd, Zenless Zero. He's an agent who fights monsters, but is also quite the goofball. And yet, I loved his design. I thought it was pretty dang spiffy, especially the introduction of a jacket. And I thought about Silver-Quill. And Silver-Quill is not really the body armor wielding type, despite when I sometimes have dressed him up in medieval armor. Ah, yes, several people calling in on Zenless Zone Zero. So I did some sketches and I redesigned this dual identity. On the left, this is what he'd be with the mask up. And there are a bunch of little LED lights that would serve as his expressions. I wanted him to be able to show his eyes. And then if he ever got on a bike or got ready for battle mode, he could flip this down It would cover up the lower beak part, and he would have this. But then I also thought, I just kind of looked at it and I thought, that doesn't really work. How can I best put it? The head seems almost alien to the rest of the body now. I wasn't a big fan of how it's merging. So I had a revelation. As I went with a bomber jacket based on, well, partly from my Equestria Girls review. So I thought, why not use the designs of a World War II bomber helmet as inspiration? It could even form a sort of beak, thereby homaging my Silver-Quill hippogriff. Yes, this sounded like a good idea. Oh God, please let this be a good idea. So that's what I'd like to work on tonight in the latter half of my efforts. But first and foremost, we must return to our friend DigiSketch, who, if you were present at my stream 2 weeks ago, I was very much out of sorts. I started with a miss-stream on YouTube and then promptly knocked over my drink and caused all sorts of a mess. I now hold in my hand a less tippable mug filled with chai, and well, I managed to set things up right this time. Oh, and hello to Mad Munchkin. It's good to see you, and it's good to see you, Redamon 565. Ergo, I was very pleased with how the progress we made on this profile, this 3/4, and at first this portrait shot. But then I started doing the other directions and I realized something quite chilling. This doesn't match up. The references here, which are beautifully done, don't get me wrong, beautifully done, but it's like this curl and this bang off to the side are not present here. And suddenly there's a curl going in front of the ear. What's up with that? And while there are 3 prongs of, a mane over here, not so over here. So I'm dealing with, how can I best describe it? A fun inconsistency to show off an unkempt, wild, and creative mane, which can work well, but when there's this big a difference in it all, my designer side, or perhaps it's undiagnosed ADHD, I don't know, says, no, you must bring order to chaos. You must be the enemy of discord. Yes. And so therefore, until the top of the hour, I'm going to try and rectify this imbalance in good old main styles. And then I will switch over and try to update my design for the Kamen Rider. Now, okay, I know that Infinite Warlock has seen Kamen Rider double thanks to the anime that continued the story. But I'm wondering if any of you out there have seen Pretzel. There we go. I'm trying to get to the Pretzel Rocks. If any of you have seen Kamen Rider, and especially in the case of the appropriately named Kamen Rider Angle, what's your favorite series? Let's talk about that. Meanwhile, I will log in and try to get this music going, because it's always fun to have some music to work by. Featured label, Insomniac. No thanks, I do that naturally. How about some lo-fi boppin'? And I sincerely hope that this time it remembers I said no vocals. And as always, I shall rely on all of you to let me know if it's too loud. Oh, Mary Drake, my regrets. You saw the American Masked Rider. And I'm going to... No, it would have been Kamen Rider if you had seen Dragon Knight. So, no. Masked Rider was a very poor attempt to bring Kamen Rider RX, a sequel series, no less, to Kamen Rider Black, over here to the US of A. But again, because Kamen Rider tends to go darker places than Super Sentai, it really wasn't a good fit to try and make like a big old family gathering with an annoying little puppet named Furbus. Good Lord, people did not like Furbus. And, you know, at the time I didn't mind Furbus all that much. But then I learned about Kamen Rider, and you realize that that Furbus represents the kidification of an otherwise serious story. Kamen Rider Black, which, by the way, my friend Kaiju no Kami, it's one of his favorites. Very dark series, so much so that the writer is forced to battle and kill his best friend. Though, honestly, friendships in Kamen Rider are just asking for trouble. Most friendships, I should say. Huh. Okay, I don't think this works entirely, but it's a better guide than what I was giving myself last week. Or, sorry, 2 weeks ago. So let's just lay out some coifs. I'm sure no one will take that out of context. And so therefore, let's see here. LB308. Oh yes, I asked someone to pick one. Apologies. The first Kamen Rider you watched was Kamen Rider Decade. You know, it's kind of funny. The first Super Sentai I got to watch start to finish was Gokaiger, which became... No, I won't say it became. Rather, Power Rangers Super Mega Force stole its identity. Oh, those Power Rangers. They take everything and make it mixed results. I do know that reviewing Super Mega Force drove Linkara to shoot at his own TV. You can watch his History of Power Rangers for that scene. But yeah, it's got issues. It's used. Now, Decade, I have not yet gotten to see Decade. For those who don't know, whoa, that got really loud. Let's tone you down a little, please. Okay, so there are eras to Kamen Rider based on actually, I put this based on whoever was emperor at the time. So let's see. I believe we concluded the Reiwa era. Japan emperors history. List of emperors of Japan. I believe the emperor is more just sort of ceremonial nowadays, if at all. Good Lord, there have been a lot of them. I imagine there was pretty high turnover in political turbulent times. Could only imagine. Kamen Rider eras. Let's make sure I get this right. Okay, so you had the Showa era, then the Heisei era, and now we're in the Reiwa era. Decade was, I believe, a fond farewell to the Showa era as we moved into the newest eras. Blue Griffin points out that Godzilla movies are similarly distinctive. But if it's not emperor, is it prime minister? I don't know. I'm afraid I don't know. I don't know what's the best terminology, and I need to catch up. Actually, maybe I don't. Politics in this country, where I am right now, good God. I can't keep up. I do not have the bandwidth for everything that has gone on. That said, congratulations to Wisconsin. I'm glad that you had an election and that it went, I believe, smoothly. Anywho. Here we go. So, Decade was the fond farewell of the Showa era, and I believe the start of... Oh, I'm doing it wrong again, aren't I? The Showa era and the start of the Heisei, if I remember correctly. I'm sure more learned fans will correct me. Okay, already I'm feeling a little bit better about this layout. It's making more sense. I am a good artist. I am a good artist. Oh, God. Oh, come here. You got to work with me here. Adobe pulled another frickin' update recently, which, until I rebooted my computer, undid all, I repeat, all of my presets, my favorites, the stuff that I use to make the workflow smooth on everything. Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro. It's maddening. I was really crossing my fingers once I hit the reset button. And so therefore, I don't like cloud-based service. It's a fun idea at first, but then the practicality sets in and you're like, nope, this will not do. This will not do at all. I mean, my lordy. Anywho. Alrighty. So, Kamen Rider. Like I say, I have found that the first Kamen Rider I got to see start to finish was Wizard. And I liked it so much. I love the premise. I bought the duplicate of the driver, which means imported from Japan. And I still have a pretty healthy collection of the rings he used. It's a clever system. The ring has some sort of short-range transmission or wiring that lets the driver belt know what sound effect to play. I'm assuming that the actual sound effects are in the driver. And honestly, my friends and I have all done a sort of arms race or gift set of Kamen Rider devices. I have, let's see here. I have double, Wizard, Gaim. I think that's it. Oh, and Decade. I like the cards for Decade, even though I haven't gotten to see the full thing. Then I know my buds have Build, Forze, and 01. Oh, and Kamen Rider. Oh, which one was it? Kuga. Yes, Kamen Rider Kuga. Kuga I consider to be one of the most interesting, as it is equal parts Kamen Rider and police drama. All the monsters are in some very twisted competition that requires killing humans. Again, see how dark this can get? So the most interesting aspect is that they had the monsters, or the alternate race, I'm not sure what you want to call it. They spoke their own language, and there were no subtitles, Japanese or English, to translate, which I found to be an innovative approach, if a bit, how shall I say, I'm like, what are they saying? It sounds like gobbledygook. And then it's like, oh God, is that racist? Can you be racist against a species that doesn't actually exist? I don't know. Let's ask Frieza about those chlorophores. But I've enjoyed a great deal of the Kamen Riders. Fangers and Orphanok. Ah, the Grongi, LB308, another Kamen Rider fan. You know the Grongi. And then you know which Grongi I hate the most. Because there is one Grongi, it's like, for those who don't know, the enemies in that show could take on human guises, but they often looked like they were in so much leather, you expected them in a rather questionable office. But they were all based on animals. And the Rhino killed a German Shepherd. And while I've had bad luck with German Shepherds over my life, they're a wonderful breed, I just haven't had the best luck. I wanted to see that Grongi get blown up so bad, because you do not kill a dog in front of me. Oh, I do not like, no. So, yeah, I was plenty happy when he actually got blown up twice. And I was like, oh, they knew which sacrifice to make, just for a one-off joke. Alrighty. Oh, Kamen Rider Angle, the king of them. That one was a little weird. Because, like, the Grongi King, the strongest of the bunch, we got to see plenty of his handiwork, but very little of his initial attack. It was almost surreal. One of the most interesting things about Kuga was that he was, well, the strength he wielded was from an ancient race. And so, unfortunately, a modern guy and a detective really didn't, they didn't know what they were dealing with. So they had to discover everything on the fly and adapt. It's a rare thing. Sometimes a Kamen Rider is, well, I guess you can break it down into tropes. There's the newbie who's just figuring out as it's going along. The hyperactive innocent who matures as the piece goes on. That's what I believe Gav is right now. And the cold loner who is usually very experienced in combat and may or may not have some social graces. Let's see here. What was the Kamen Rider that featured the Zectors, the insect-themed transformation? Which one was that? I saw... Oh, hello, Voice of Reason. What's a good starting point for Kamen Rider? Blue Griffin Azora asks. That's a very fine question. Thank you, LB. I was speaking of Kamen Rider Kabuto. The lead hero is kind of a jerk, at least initially. Oh, and thank you, Jesse, or Jetstorm. But there's no denying his skill. And he does, I think, I haven't seen the whole series, so again, I'm kind of spitballing on this one. He has a good side. It's just that it's under a lot of bravado and perhaps stoic. This very stoic personality. And Kamen Rider Angle is correct. A little bit cocky and arrogant. Don't forget that. Yep, they can be. That is, and you are also right, Angle. So the nice thing about Kamen Riders is that each season, if you can call it that, is self-contained. You have the writer, you have ballpark 45 to 50 episodes of them going through struggles and growth. And then there are some crossover movies, which are all the rage. But then you get a new writer, new story, and you just go to town. So it really depends on what kind of protagonist you like. So if y'all wouldn't mind, if you want to post your favorite kind of protagonist in the chat, I'm confident that either I or several of the Kamen Rider fans within the chat can point you towards a series you'd like. And since a lot of these series are coming out on Blu-ray here in America, I forgot to mention, I have a rather incomplete set of, oh, good gravy. It's the most recently completed Kamen. Oh, not even that. God, time flies. Kamen Rider Geats, which has a somewhat, well, it's not quite Squid Games, but it does have that competition aspect to it. And also the lethality. Geats has a more arrogant and cocky Kamen Rider, though for good reasons, who's very experienced. But funny enough, my favorite of that episode was actually one of the supporting writers. Yes, and as Warlock points out, there are crossover specials where previous Kamen Riders might make an appearance because I think they've come to appreciate the sheer marketability that each individual writer engenders. Now then, I love Tycoon, the supporting writer of Geats. And I guess that requires some explanation as well. Kamen Rider, when they first produced it, I believe it was just called Kamen Rider, retold in Shin Kamen Rider more recently. At one point, the actor got hurt and had to take a medical leave. So the crew had to adapt fast and set up another main character, another actor, to fill the role for a while. Thus, unintentionally, began the tradition of the secondary writer, who usually comes in and acts as sometimes a rival, sometimes a supporter, to the main character. And they usually get their own slew of merchandise. Merchandising. What's one that has the writer use cards as weapons? Well, there's several voice of reason. We've got Kamen Rider Ryuki, which became Kamen Rider Dragon Knight over here in America. That was pretty fun, especially as the main character is based more on a dragon. There's Kamen Rider Decade, which is an anniversary celebration. And there's a third, oh yes, Kamen Rider Blade, which I've watched start to finish with mixed results because I thought it was a wonderful, dark story, a lot of great character development, but it traumatized me. There was an individual whose name was Tachibana, which is apparently a very common name in Japan. Every time this guy walked into a room or appeared, someone would go, Tachibana-san, Tachibana, Tachibana, Tachibana. By the end of the movie, series, I was just plain triggered. Every time I heard it, I know his name. Shut up. So you can imagine how hard I had to fight myself in Shin Godzilla, where looking for someone whose last name is Tachibana, a police officer says the name several times as they're looking through a record. Tachibana, Tachibana, Tachibana. Stop. Nathan Duazo, Lissy, I'm not sure what updates you're looking for. She's doing all right. Been through a lot, but we keep in touch and she's staying strong. Had the pleasure of seeing her in Texas in February for HarmonyCon, where sadly she came down with a flu that was going around, but she's doing much better now. I would say not to worry for her. I can't promise that I'll let you know if anything changes because it all comes down to her respect for her privacy. But know that as far as I'm aware, everything's good. Blade Ryuka, Decade, yep. Let's see, Adam Leisman points out, I know a name you should check out for tokusatsu creators. Sampodi Sands, a guy who actually made a series of films using pirated footage. I don't know if there's moral if there's any moral conflict there of using mostly pirated footage. But then again, is that not what my favorite abridged series do? I mean, they do a magnificent job. I certainly wouldn't discourage them. Well, I'll try to remember that. Some pot sands. Alrighty. Okay. So offhand, it takes a minute for what I say to actually get on the stream. So I am hoping all you fine folks are seeing this, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this revised DU. The DU. But I think it works better than what I previously had. And that's the real victory. Now then, just trying to think of Kamen Rider moments. I will say that I couldn't get into Ghost or Gotchard, some of the more recent ones. And then there was Kamen Rider Geo. It's spelled Z-I-O, but in Japan they seem to pronounce it as more of a G. So here's my big thing that really frustrated me with Geo. Young man, constantly talking about how he's going to be emperor someday. Or a ruler, king. No one knows why. I don't believe they ever explained why he got this strange fixation. But thanks to the intervention of some time travelers, they learned that this guy will not only steal all the powers of the other Kamen Riders, or at least the Kamen Riders of the Heisei era, he is going to become the worst dictator in history. Everyone else is just an imitator compared to what he's going to unleash on the world. And what does he do when he finds out? Well, he's like, oh, I am going to be emperor. Shame about the dictator part, though. You know, in some ways, I would find that interesting, as usually a atypical response is a great way to make a character interesting. But when you have a full series talking about this, and he's all just, whatever, I'm going to be emperor, I got nothing. There's no interest in this guy who is clearly not taking this seriously or reflecting on it. Now, thankfully, about halfway through the series, when he's due to get an upgraded form, because by God, we've got to sell another driver mechanic, he does quite literally have a conversation with himself about being scared. And he at least acknowledges, yeah, this is pretty scary, the idea of what he's going to become. But the whole thing just felt like a big non-event after a while. And no wonder I'm on the wrong layer. I was wondering why I couldn't see my lines. So, how can I best put this? To any hopeful or prospective writers, a character will have a natural reaction to certain things. Imagine, okay, I'll be a little harsh with this. Princess Cadence, she gets mad at villains who are doing evil things. But how fascinating would it be if she were actually excited by the conflict? It's like, oh, cool. You know, I just said I'm going to conquer Canterlot. Yeah. Can we start fighting on that? That would be quite the WTF moment. But it would also be interesting as a character because it's not the expected response. And don't get me wrong, Cadence is a fine character. In a Brony debates, we talked about her, and I realized, yeah, I can give her more credit than I have been. But I just think she'd be even more interesting if there was an unexpected twist to her. That's why for a time I came up with the idea of her being an adrenaline junkie, which was only kind of sort of affirmed in the Best Gift Ever special. So, and I gotta say, this chill EDM is actually being very chill. I'm feeling nice and relaxed. Oh yeah, this is nice. Now, I was rambling for so long. Oh, okay. Ultraman and... So, Sampodi Sans does Ultraman and Kamen Rider in addition to his own footage with new character Hanuman. I'll have to give that a look. Oh, Adam, you're not wrong, but I want to take just a minute to be away from politics here in Americavania. And I said no vocals. So it doesn't help that this person, whoever was singing, was talking about the broken parts inside of ourselves. Good gravy. Don't get up. I was just praising it for being at ease, chill. And some guy talks about how we're all broken. Thanks. Careful not to cut yourself on all that edge. Anywho. Let's take another look at the chat real quick. Kuga and Bill, Kamen Rider Angle says that Kuga and Build are the only rider powers that you want to use in a story. Well, Kuga, oh my goodness, an anonymous tip. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, Maddie, I did jinx it. But I had a thought and I lost it. Oh yes, Kuga and Build are actually quite interesting as they are polar opposites in terms of powers, at least. Kuga is, like I said before, based on ancient powers that are very confusing, and it requires a great deal of language translation. That being translating a dead language that no one currently recognizes to understand what he can do. Whereas Build, its powers are alien in nature, but they're unlocked by a quite brilliant scientist who also is a self-described narcissist. And there's a problem with that. You see, if you're a narcissist, that is to hold a perfect image of yourself, unable to handle any flaws or admit any problem. Ergo, it's very difficult for a narcissist to admit they're a narcissist. Although I guess he used the term narcissistic, and even then it's a Japanese term, so it may not have an American counterpart. But it's the term used in the fan subs. So, but also, I guess the personalities. Kuga, the Kamen Rider there, he is a fun, friendly guy whose desire is more often than not to see everyone smile, which is why the battle to stop these murderers weighs so heavily on him. But he does his best, and he's a real likable guy. Whereas the scientist is more... Well, he's a bit more self-assured, but also arrogant. And so those two would make a great dynamic in terms of writers who are trying to get along, but just would have some very different personality standards. Though I will say one of my favorite writers supporting is Kamen Rider Durian from the series Gaim. It's based on a durian fruit, which I don't think I've ever gotten to try. But this, the character is male, identifies as male, I believe, but is also very effeminate, hyper stylized, flamboyant, and is a member of the French Foreign Legion. So basically joins in a rider fight just to show these amateurs what real war looks like, and is probably one of the funnest characters in the show. The transformation catchphrase is Mr. Dangerous. Kuga, not quite as bonkers as Pinkie Pie, Adam Leisman, but I will say that, yeah, she would probably get along with Kuga swimmingly. And he'd probably be glad for a fellow entertainer / purveyor of joy. Rarity and Durian might get along, because they both would understand the fabulosity and the demands therein. Guy, see, is Durian Darkwing Duck? Because let's get dangerous. Unfortunately, no, but, well, again, I suppose there was just enough of an ego. But the funnest fight with Mr. Dangerous is when the lead character, Gaim, he's trying to defend a performance from being interrupted, in which Durian is the mercenary, or French Foreign Legion still. So, having toughened up quite a bit, Gaim is able to match, and by the end, they're just like fighting down a hallway in jump cuts, stomping on each other's boots, smacking the other in the head. It's like, you stop it, no, you stop it, no, you stop it. And while it may be a downgrade in the threat level, it is very much an enjoyable battle. All the while, the kids inside are doing their dance thing, and they're doing a good job, I'd say. But again, Gaim, which you'd think with all the traits in the initial setup is kid-friendly, quickly develops into a big commentary on the nature of power. How it changes, what we'd give up, what we'd risk for it, and also how it can corrupt us. I will say there's also a character in Gaim, Mitsuzane. Michi. We had a great many terms for him throughout as the series progressed. Very few of them complimentary. Although I appreciated, there was a time when, for a brief period, folks made fun of a scene in the comics where Twilight is saying, oh, they did the wrong thing, but for the right reasons. And what kind of friend hasn't made a mistake? And they point to all these awful people in history to show that's really not necessarily a healthy sentiment. And Michi was one of those tropes. Oh, an excellent question, Jetstorm. Try to pair up the riders with the main six. Well, as I say, Kamen Rider Durian would have made a great friends with Rarity, and Kuga would definitely get along with Pinkie. LB says that Gentaro of Forze would get along great with, well, actually, I don't know. Who would? I'm sorry, LB, I need a little bit more context. But LB loves to tear apart Gaim affectionately. I get it. But I think Oh. Gintaro would get along with everyone. Well, that's good to know. But let's break this down. Honesty. Or rather, simple country, affable, gets along with others, really doesn't like disingenuousness. From what I know, Blade would get along with Applejack, as they're both willing to take on a lot for the sake of others. The end of Kamen Rider Blade is just heartbreaking, but beautiful, and is very much based on love of others, platonic or otherwise. Okay, so that's now cocky, but highly skillful. I'm gonna say that Geats would get along with Rainbow Dash, and he's got the speed and the power to match her. Plus, they're both pretty calm under pressure. Although I could also see them immediately becoming rivals, as Geats's general attitude is, oh yeah, but I'll win. That really is his general attitude. Fluttershy, okay. Shy, kind and caring, but very shy. That's pretty hard for Kamen Riders, because by nature they're solo flyers. They need to handle this almost entirely on their own. A love of animals, or rather, a sense of protection. I wonder if Kamen Rider Drive. Kamen Rider Drive seems more altruistic. He was a police inspector who got caught up in powers much greater than himself and had to adapt quite a bit. But he genuinely cares for others and just tries to do well by them. I think Drive and Fluttershy would get along after the initial uncertainty, especially on Fluttershy's part. Okay, so we've got Pinky, Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash. Now Twilight. A leader, most definitely. Big on knowledge and research. I tend to think Build would actually get along with her, as they're both trying to understand great forces and solve mysteries. Both are scientifically minded. But Twilight can be prideful. Whereas, as previously mentioned, Build will even own up to being what he claims to be narcissistic. I'm sorry, but this smooth jazz actually makes me think of a Charlie Brown Christmas. Just random observation there. And I'm saving because we're coming up on the top of the hour. There you go. Oh, Kamen Rider Angle points out AG, or EG, from Kamen Rider O's. That is one I started watching but didn't get to finish. It had a very interesting premise. That guy, he might also get along well with Fluttershy. But I would think Build has the best chance of getting along with Fluttershy, if only for the mutual fascination of powers and the ability of magic. Although now that I think about it, Kamen Rider Wizard would also really get along with Twilight. Trying to be the last hope, save others from despair, knowing the great cost of magic and what it takes to become a magic user. It's, I tell you one thing, Wizard, while I have critiques of its overall story, I just love the premise. The only way you can become a magician is if you go through, you have to have a natural aptitude. But before you can harness this power, you have to become something other than human. You have to risk losing your soul. in order to achieve it. So it's not something that everyone should just rush to become. And yet this one writer really went all in to defend those in need. So yeah. Well put, Jetstorm. Philip, one half of the double team, who is also a huge repository of knowledge. I do think he'd get along better with Starlight, because both of them have trouble with social cues and understanding boundaries. But they're also very earnest, very open with their feelings, and can be quite vulnerable at times. LB points out that Meteor, the secondary rider to Forze, he and Twilight would become friends because they both had to learn to accept friendship. Oh, nope. Noteworthy, good to have you here. Doing your best not to die. Yes, please continue to do so. This is one case where I will not accept any alteration to that goal. So, Keith. Oh dear. Adam Leisman just had an idea from my comment on Charlie Brown Christmas. Charlie Brown is Kamen Rider Peanut. The rest of the supporting cast probably is other riders. He can drive a motorbike, but he still can't kick that football. Cherry Fluff Belly, does anyone know what time of the month is? Because there is... do you mean the phrase, that time of the month? Because I feel like I shouldn't just tell you this. It's probably better to talk to family. Yes, I'm going to say, ask your family on that one. Or if you're just asking what month it is most certainly April, though. March felt like it was simultaneously too long and too short. Like a week just seemed to stretch on with all the news and struggles. Oh, is there another holiday in April? Okay, that's, well, there's tax day. I don't know if I'd call that a holiday, though. Let's just do a quick search here. April holidays. Believe me, I've researched this for puns. So there are holidays all the blessed time. And for this month, that's especially because the biggest holidays are indeed religious. There's Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, which was not so good for Jesus, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday, and Monday. At the risk of seeming irreverent of belief, I just kind of picture Jesus on the cross getting a vision of people calling it Good Friday and just thinking, this is not good. I am not having a good time. He got better, but there was nothing good about that day. Oh, my family is encouraged, what's that? There's an Amazon series out, The Chosen, which is Jesus, but from the perspective of the disciples who didn't necessarily get along or know each other that well. Amazon series, The Chosen? Yep, it's The Chosen. They even had a movie leading up to said crucifixion. But that's why I don't know what the Kamen Rider Global Twitter is. Yes, my family's encouraged me to check this out. And, well, I haven't made the time just yet. Goodness knows I've got a very impressive array. But, nope, haven't gotten to see it just yet. Though I gotta say, how can I put this? Here's the thing, even if you're not a believer, religion at its best, and I can assure you we've seen plenty of examples of it not at its best. Religion is interested in the same end goal as psychology, to help a person develop into a full, well-rounded self. Individuation is the term Jungian analysts like to use. And to do that, you have to be able to take care of yourself without being totally egocentric, to be able to engage people emotionally and intellectually, and sometimes to know the difference. And ultimately, just to be at peace with who you are, not dismissing any fallibilities, you keep an eye out for them, but also not beating yourself up for making a mistake. That's what I believe both psychology and religion to be at their best. What happens often in the name of, well, insert deity here, is not religion at its best, and it's probably not even in keeping with the teachings of said deity. But people can lie to themselves quite a bit. It's very heartbreaking. Oh, I guess I should also quote Gandhi, who was very accurate with this. I like your Christ, but not your Christians. We can own that. We can own that. Okay, so Kamen Rider recently established an official English account, meaning there's a chance for more Rider content in the West. I am all for that. Alrighty. So, I believe for now I feel much better about DigiSketch, the design, at least as I'm putting forth. However, of course, the ultimate feedback is DigiSketch themselves. I will need DigiSketch's feedback, especially if they would like these fetlocks. Say what you will about G5, but I think the idea of pony multicolored fetlocks as an extra design option is very enjoyable. I can understand why Friendship is Magic used the similar body designs for most of the background characters, but a little fetlockage would be an upgrade. Julia Goodwin, an excellent quote. It's hard to be religious when certain individuals aren't incinerated by lightning. I can understand that feeling. At the same time, if that were the case, we wouldn't really have autonomy then. Everyone would be afraid to do something not out of love for others or care for greater good, i.e. individuation. They'd just be afraid of the punishment, and too many people overemphasize the punishment concept. Oy. And yes, also a fine greeting to Sweetie Bloom. I'm glad to have you here. Fluffy hooves are indeed cute. KGK Skull, it's Sentai month. Congratulations, I hope it's a fun one. Name for me your favorite Super Sentai. Now for me, the first, I said this earlier in the stream, my first full viewing of a Super Sentai with subtitles and knowing what the heck was going on was Gokaiger. Oh, LB is joining me in the Gokaiger appreciation. So, here we are back to, while the discussion of said Kamen Rider has dominated my focus this evening, I'm just going to bring everyone up to date. Over here on the right, because apparently I've internalized Japanese reading right to left, we have my initial design for Kamen Rider, Silver-Quill. And it's fun, but it also seemed, it's not really Silver-Quill, is it? Silver-Quill is not the kind to run around in body armor being totally heroic. Thanks to the design of Billy Kid, from, oh man, I keep screwing up this title even though you all told me. Zen Focus Zero. But yeah, Zero Zen or something to that effect. So I did a second design, and I like the bomber jacket and baggier pants. I kept the horseshoe ankles though. But the head just ain't working for me. As much as I love it, as much as I was inspired by Billy Kid, Zenless Zone Zero. Thank you, Warlock. I don't know why I can't remember that. I want to do better with that noggin. Also, you know what I think it really is? Well, the upper, in this one, where the mask is somewhat half off, the lower beak extending upwards works really well. But then when it's covered up by the beak mask extending downwards, it just looks alien. It doesn't invoke, well, the better Kamen Riders. I will say that 01 was a big influence on this attempt. So the goal now, I should really see if I can turn off. Yeah, I'll turn off those references. I still need to finish developing the bike concept for a Kamen Rider. But let's quit this off-screen preview and bring in a bunch of fighter jet bomber masks. The bomber jacket made me think, hey, why not try that as the breathing apparatus, the mask, makes for a better projection that would be in line mid to Silver-Quill. Also, I'd like to roll my R's. Kamen Rider Yungu. I'm not familiar with that, Just Storm. Also, Patatwa, mentioning Don Brothers. Now that, oh my goodness. What a magnificent, if bizarre, series. You know how in most Sentai or Power Rangers, the team gels with their diverse personalities, but they're all synced up and know how to work with each other by the end? Don Brothers is not that. Don Brothers is probably the most dysfunctional Sentai I've ever seen, and they're glorious for it. It's steeped very heavily in the mythology of Don Momotaro, the boy who was born from a peach. I don't know how familiar, if at all, folks are with that. But let's start with that. Don Momotaro. You know, I'm going to just take these two and leave some copies over here because who knows? I might start from zero again. But the team is based on figures from that legend, and they don't work well at all. They're not only pretty dysfunctional in regular life, but they're hilariously dysfunctional as a team. But, and I really want to emphasize this, Don Brothers is like, the story sneaks up on you. Imagine that you're walking down a path every day, going to school, going to work, going somewhere with the regularity that you pretty much have a daily routine of it. And along the way, you find a stack of bricks, and you put one brick down every time you pass by. And somehow, when you weren't paying attention, when you were lulled into a false sense, somehow you built a house just by moving all those bricks. That is Don Brothers. You don't realize the story is advancing until you actually realize how far you've come. Oh, Sweetie Bloom with the incremental generosity. Watch out, beware, and much appreciated. So I'm gonna keep this just as a general shape of the head. So I guess I should start with the actual helmet. Now, it wouldn't be leather. I'm not trying to be those brave pilots from World War II. But I will try to emulate it with my own Silver-Quill flair. Excuse me. You know, I was reflecting with friends. The anime convention at which I saw the design for Billy Kid. Oh dear. Yes, Sweetie Bloom, we could also bring in Doctor Who on this. Are you my mummy? But Bill, I was there. I was seeing all the cosplays and all the people going around. I got to say, there were a lot more Maid Cafe and Bunny men and women at this. So I was like, well, that's a bit more open than I remember. Oh, Noteworthy. My gosh, I only just reset that counter. You don't have to do that every time. I hope that... My God, I hope you don't actually think you have to do that every time. I'd feel quite bad, but I'm grateful all the same. So, where was I going with this? I was there, but I realized, other than Billy Kid, I didn't have one of those great moments of inspiration. That moment where a new story or a celebration of a character flickered on, because... Sadly, I feel like while I watch some anime, like the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world, I'm no longer on the in with that. It's no longer my primary focus. That is not a denouncement of the modern. It's just that I'm old. I'm not up to speed anymore. And so it felt like there was less of an investment than when I first started. And that's not a bad thing, because I am still passionate in other ways. But it's also, you realize and maybe you feel a little bit bad. I'm not sad that that I took part. I just realized, well, I guess I need to focus elsewhere. Let's try to keep this Silver-Quill as quilly as possible. Hello, Sonic X the Guardian. Well, Noteworthy, I simultaneously appreciate that saying. It's very, I would say, zen, but at the same time, it's also kind of grim. None of us are getting out of here alive, if by here you mean reality. Which, yes, well, so either way, I appreciate you. Not your money, I appreciate you. Just want to make that clear. Alrighty, so we're looking a bit more beaky. Yes, reject reality and substitute my own. In other words, headcanon. And now Kamen Rider has turned into Donald Duck. You know, if I could harness that anger, no foe could defeat me. Especially with the newer DuckTales. Woohoo! I'd say as much fun as I had at BronyCon, one of my fondest memories is actually after, where a bunch of the reviewers got together in the courtyard of a hotel, although it was on the roof, a courtyard roof. And we watched the first 2 episodes of DuckTales together. Woohoo! Well, now, how'd that happen? Supposed to be 1. Ooh, but happy accident right there. I like that. I like how it kind of swings up there. Can I do this wireframe view? Boom. You see, this is how to best put this. All vectors are based on math. So instantly, I appreciate if you all are on edge suddenly. Not math. No one told me there'd be math. But the idea here is that I tell the computer where I want the general path of the shape to be. And it does fill things in. Oh dear. There's complete because of an unknown error. Sigh. Here we go. Edit. Color settings. Found this out earlier today. Let's make this emulate Adobe Illustrator 6. It makes everything a little paler for some reason, but I don't encounter that obnoxious error. I don't know what object has the error. Oh, voice. I don't think I got to see you there. I've gotten to see you at other conventions and been very glad for it. But this was, there were a lot of people there. Oh my God, now y'all are just going for the jugular in generosity. I knoweth not what to do. Now, I'm not going to have a mouthpiece, or rather an air hose, but I think if I guess I'll, whoop, oh dear. If I just extend this, there we are. Okay, that actually looks a little comical. Ma foi. Looks like he's grinning, like really big, like huge. Oh, Pokemon Fire Eevee, you be a math fan. Glad for that. The space for the eyes needs to be bigger? Well, let's see what I can do about that. But first, I gotta do something about this. I can't take that seeming grin. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now, how can we enhance this? Here's an idea. What if there was a second layer to the beakage? No, not there. Not at the tip. Let's add a little bit more up here. Because there'll be room for the eyes, but maybe more of a divider between them. This is all, I'm spitballing here. This is just throw things and see where they land. Now, ooh. Let's see what we can do here. Because I like the idea of having some straps on the side, like a older biker helmet. Oh, maybe that's also something I should look at. Older biker helmet. Old biker helmets. Okay, I have confirmed that this is a safe search. At least there's nothing inherently objectionable. Not sure about some of these German helmets, but honestly, the older style biker helmets. Hang on, electric motorbike. Oh, there's an idea. One, make the top more of a dome. Leather straps underneath. I like that idea. Yes, I like that inspiration. Inspiration hath struck me. Right in the face. Right in my stupid face. So rather, let's really make it domey. Domini. And let's add some air holes on the beak. in lieu of the nostrils. Wonder what happens if I just shorten this up. Oops. So yes, I'm going, instead of trying to look all cool and modern, I'll be like, yeah, I am your daddy's Kamen Rider. Although that sounds really awkward and creepy, so no, I won't say that at all. Just give me the Ghiblies right there. Oh, Ghiblies. So let's just put a little flap, seemingly leather, trying not to cross the anchor points. It's like, don't cross the streams, don't cross the anchor points. And maybe more rounded on this side. So, to make air holes, or I'm not really honestly, that's a question. Exhausts? Air holes? What's the right term? And just make eye expressions. Well, it's a good idea, Warlock, but this is all just sort of flow of consciousness and thinking. Ooh, speed holes. I like your thinking, Maddie. Exhaust vents is also a good term, noteworthy. Vents? Well, Sweetie Bloom, I do need to vent some days. In fact, many days. Maybe I guess I should give everyone a somewhat serious update. First off, I appreciate everyone who understood my absence last week and the need to be there for a friend. His mom had blood clots in her lungs, but she went in on Thursday, was there at the hospital all of Friday, but thankfully came home on Saturday. I don't know what medication they used, but they gave her certainly some blood thinners, anything to help avoid clotting. And I believe the worst of that is over. So thank you for your understanding. My friends and I, we rallied around our bud, and we're very glad to hear good news on the mom front, because goodness knows good news is in short supply here. Meanwhile, my dad is undergoing a gamma blade, which is a concentrated burst of radiation designed to kill the cancer cells in the prostate. It's a small gathering, the early detection. He's had 4 out of 5 treatments and is feeling pretty darn good. Oh yeah, it's gotta be like 0.05, doesn't it? No, wait, I gotta get my head on straight here. There we go. That's more like it. So, he's doing that. He's doing well. But I have to be real with everybody. The minute I heard the C word, I was freaking out. I was freaking out. Freaky-deaky. So, I give him a call every day he has a treatment just to remind him, I'm here if you need me. But my dad's doing well, and he cool. Very cool. So, what else? My uncle will be getting bypass surgery on the 9th, which, again, I've been reassured it is not quite the medical marvel it once was. It's actually more, I don't want to say commonplace, but it was definitely, there's been a lot of practice to it. It's not such alien territory as it was in my youth. So again, no reason to be concerned, but I'm gonna. So yeah. Oh, this is why I say March was actually really stressful. So I don't know what April will hold. Now, I should also say that I will be at BabsCon. I haven't, how can I put it? I know they haven't really announced me, but I am technically on the website in the vendor hall. So I consider that, I will be going, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be a little sad that it's the last BabsCon. Well, that's just the way. It was the first Brony convention I went to. And while any venue has good and bad memories, I focus on the good memories. Especially getting to see friends, getting to meet people I'd only known online. Getting to see them in person. The first year I got to meet Keyframe. She ran up and gave me this big hug. I am surprised my spine survived the encounter because she was quite wonderful with her greeting. But my spine was like, oh, who dis? She hath assaulted me. She hath. Group. Let's see. Oh, Gojaline, your birthday's in April. Well, I don't know if I'm in advance or behind. I'm going to assume in advance as it's only April 3rd. But happy birthday. There we are. That's nice. Noteworthy, your birthday will be the first day at Babs. Then I will do my best to remember that so that I can give you a shout out. I don't know what opening ceremonies will be like. Honestly, I'm not sure of a lot of things because, well, if you've kept up on Twitter, there's been some general chaos and rigmarole at the Bab City Con. And again, I'm going because it was my first con and I enjoy it very much. But I do want to give a salute to all the musicians who, in support of, Pinky, the musical director, or rather the liaison for musicians, got let go last week, I believe, and they've organized a separate venue for music. It's a sign of solidarity, and I appreciate that. Now let's try something here. Rather than have a bunch of straps running around, what if... Oh, is this... Nope, I need to get in on the group. So, believe me, I will support and celebrate Babs, the convention, but I salute the solidarity and ingenuity of the musicians as well. Let's get in there. There we go. This is starting to take shape, I think. Oh, there you go. Kamen Rider Angle, you were getting some inspirations to make your own redesign. Nice. Pinkaboo. Thank you, Noteworthy. Pinkaboo was let go last Friday. It hasn't even been a week, but it feels like so much has happened since then. One of those things is that, in their ingenuity, the musicians will be hosting a venue on Sunday, I believe at 5 o'clock. I have to double check the schedule of the con, but I believe that's after the convention closes its doors. Oh, sweetie, oh. But I appreciate that they're both finding a way to stick to their morals and for some reason I'm trying to come up with another term, but principles, their morals and their principles, and also performing for the fans who came to see them. So good on those folks. I appreciate what they're doing. Now, starting to come together. Let's take a look. Huh. I guess I could also try the beak. Let's just do a little experiment here. As if I didn't have enough duplicates going on, I'm going to take this, put it over here, and rather than this older one, maybe I'll have the beak. Might still look like a smile then, but let's just give a little try here. Whoop. Come on down. There we go. Let's make you the same color. Boop. Offhand, I'm inclined to say no. No, while these fighter masks are definitely more in line, I'm going to go with no. Okay, that's good to know. Well, let's see. Infinite Warlock, we have Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Silver is what I would go with. But I'm open to the idea and the fun of alternate titles. Toku-Quill. What's a good Continuity Rider? Spell it with a K though. Everybody be like, that's not how it's spelled. That'll drive people nuts. Quill Rider, that's a fun one, Blue Griffin. Common Quill. So Quill Rider from Blue Griffin and Goja Line, I like that. Duplicated Quill, that's from when I made the copy of the mask. Common Quill, says Sweetie Bloom. Most riders have a gem in the center of the mask. A fair question. Or maybe a Gundam, or I think it was Warlock who said a Gundam V fin. Let's get the overall design settled first, and then we'll get to the next part. Promise. What I will do is I think this is a good idea, which is usually what's said before a bad idea, is to put one of these here straps, and it'll go just shy of the earpiece. Looks like I got a really trippy mustache. Offhand, I'm not a fan. I mean, it looks noticeable, but not necessarily good. What if it were like this fellow? What if it were like angled? No, then it just blocks the eyes. Nope, I think we'll keep it just like this. Now, forgive me a moment. I need to actually double check Kamen Rider Gotchard, because Gotchard did Gotchard have a wing? Kamen Rider Gotchard. Yep, he did have a gem. For those curious, once again, there doesn't appear to be anything objectionable in this Google search. Kamen Rider Gotchard. It's a cool mask. I couldn't really get into the viewing, though I might give it another go, but it's a cool design, in my opinion. So for right now, I am pleased with this part, but let's start tackling, pardon me, that oh so important, the goggles. Goggles, in a way, can be my bug eyes, but let me see what I can do. I'm going to duplicate this wool because... Why is it not coming to the front? Hello? There. Because it takes a little bit to get these... to get the wool with wavy zag look. Although that looks pretty terrible. Change in plans. We're going to draw one circle, and this might be a good way to show folks how I do this. How do you go from a perfectly clean circle to this woolly thing? You go up to Effects, Distort and Transform Zigzag. That, I zigged when I should have zagged. So let's move that size to relative. We're going to move it down. Smooth the ridges. And have a lot more. Let's say 1%. I don't think I could ever do Kamen Rider 1%. Okay. So there we have that. That's a start. Now I'm going to angle it out because we need the actual goggles. And for that, we're going to go with a little bit more gray. And, well, now this is always a bit frustrating, getting that outline the way you want it. It's kind of funny. Colored line art, not really a thing for me until My Little Pony. So even when celebrating tokusatsu, I want to give props to what got me on this creative spree in the first place. Obviously, because I'm designing this, I'm looking to talk about more than My Little Pony. But I'll never forget where I got my start and how much I enjoyed it. So, I hope that comes across clearly. I haven't made a huge announcement because I don't want people to think I'm leaving the fandom. I'm just considering all the wild possibilities. Now then, speaking of wild, this is where I need a little help. I need one of the eyes from this guy, just for reference. Yep. Because this is 3 parts. The line art, this texture, and the blue within. We're going to start with the blue. There's that. Change the angle of the gradient. Let's say 90. Nope, negative 90. Actually, wait, no, I'll just leave it at that. Whoops, wrong button. I want to keep the colors going here. And then we'll just make this. It's just a fill. All right, now I'm going to group all this together. Don't need you. Just like that. And let's use the shear tool. If I put the anchor down here and angle it over, there we go. Not bad if I do say so myself, which I do. Then we just got to alter this so it comes up a little bit more on the sides. And there, I believe we have 1/2 of the look. Now, I'm just curious, can I cheat a little? Yup. And then just... not really. Some of it can work, but Well, practically none of it can work. Let's start getting rid of a few things to make it more... Well, realistic may not be the term I'm searching for, but emphasize the angles. Boop. And boop. We'll get rid of you. Now I feel like he should go into battle playing Ride of the Valkyries. Dun da 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 ba ba da ba ba hippity herder hippity der. Yeah, there we go. My number one soundtrack. What'd you miss, Enderpup? Well, we talked a lot about a Japanese series called Kamen Rider and the various iterations thereof. Also, Ender, I appreciated your messages before the stream about not being able to make it. I hope you never feel that it's a requirement or an obligation. I'm grateful when people are willing to spend their time with me in a stream, but I also, y'all got lives of your own. Don't ever worry about pursuing that. Let's see, Limity. You got a pretty good haul at the library. Okay. My Hero Academia, the manga, excellent. Demon Slayer. Very nice. Now, I've read My Hero Academia on Shonen Jump's website. I haven't had a chance to check out the anime yet. Although, Demon Slayer, when there was that movie, the Demon Slayer with the train, boy, the excitement for that, people, and again, I'm out of touch as an old fogey, but I was thoroughly impressed by the hype for it. But I don't know, I haven't actually scoped out Demon Slayer yet. Oi, where'd my little circle go? Oh, don't you pull that on me again, please. I've already changed the color dynamics. What more do you want from me, you monster? Wonder what's causing that error. There's got to be a way to say what object is causing the error. Oh, no wonder. It's in the group. That makes more sense. There we go. Boop. There we go. Too far apart, I wonder? Well, we'll find out shortly. I'm starting to think rather than the furry wool, which I made Silver-Quill's, the same color as Silver-Quill's feathers, maybe I will go with the... I'll keep them round. But maybe move this... Whoa. Make it a little bit bigger. Move it a little bit closer. Excuse me. And I'll just add... This will be a good way to add a little gem as well. Appreciate the reminder. Now then, Goja Lion, you were thinking of making some brony folk into kaiju. Well, I would encourage you to look through Lightning Bliss's social media, as I believe she's done herself as Godzilla and me as all three heads of Gojira. Oh, no, sorry. Ghidorah. King Ghidorah. And then we'll have a... Maybe I should make this ear a little smaller. Why is it so quiet over on Pretzel all of a sudden? Actually, yeah, why is it so quiet? Oh, it's buffering. Oh, that's not a good sign. So you've done one for Josh, Abby Rhodey, and Bronny Buck. LB, Ride of the Valkyries, but played on a kazoo. That That would be hilarious. All right, so again, don't want to go overboard on super details. This is meant to be as simple as possible. There we are. Now, I will, however, include le buckle. So I'm going to need a little bit of this, move it more blue, even if I can't really see it change. And a little bit of this, more blue, again, change. All I got to do is make a rectangle, and by clicking on an anchor point or these little dots, I can round out the edges to make it an oval, or at least heavily rounded corners, eh? And no, I think that's actually good right there. All right, so mention has been made of the jewel. Would you, let's see, Infinite Warlock saying, would you believe that the movie ended up being the highest grossing film of 2020? Well, yeah, I can believe that. Demon Slayer got the views just in time before the pandemic shut everything down. And in so many ways, I feel like we never truly moved beyond it. We're still, I don't know, we're still coming to grips with COVID. I'll tell you, I have a local Subway nearby. It's been good in a pinch for getting dinner or lunch or dinner. And the ladies there were really nice. But then one day I just came over and it was closed, gone. The ladies had been reassigned. And the explanation was it's still COVID. People, while they were able to keep it afloat for a while, they still never got back the viewership. Or viewership, that's a YouTube perspective. No, they never really got back customers. And I was sad for that. Was also wondering where the hell am I going to get a sandwich on short notice. But mostly it was just sad to know that they were gone. Boo. Now then. I need to shift this over to better align with the curve of the head. Which means I should skewer this, but yeah, I'll shear it now. For sheer delight. My watch is telling me it's time to stand. No, not just yet. I fell behind in keeping up with the chat. Apologies, everyone. Mary Drake remembers the original Masked Rider. I always thought the Masked Rider had a bit of a... you might call it campy, but it was still a very triumphant streak. Masked Rider. Masked Rider. It had triumphant music, at least. Although, oddly, some of my favorite theme songs are just saying the main character's name. You know, He-Man. That's all the song was, He-Man. Let's see, for a star, I need 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. With significantly less. Let's bump up that second radius. Whoop, wrong. Oh, that ain't right. I made it worse. Good gravy. Let's try 0.01, 0.02. Ah, to heck with this. Actually, no, I need to learn to use the star tool. It could save me a lot of trouble in time. Okay, so the second radius is just that. So what I need is a radius 1 of 0.05. There we go. That should do nicely. Might go just a few minutes over the top of the hour because we're close and I want to run one idea by everybody. See what y'all think. So let's get this guy. Whoa, I don't want to offset it that way. Let's see, minus 0.125. That is, I believe, a 1/16 of an inch. I only know that from my time with a print company. You learn very quickly, 0.125, about how much the sizes of everything, the diameter. Excuse me. It's been a full day. Good gravy. Come on. 0.5? That's better. So here is the jewel of the Kamen Rider. I love blue. Blue is my go-to color. It is everything I love. The clear open skies, the deep sea, tranquility, intelligence. Honestly, there are a few things that I can really... there's always going to be something bad associated with it. But blue is usually my go-to. There we go. So we got a gem. I'll add some highlights down the road. But as Infinite Warlock proposed, let's add a V. And we'll just smooth out the curve. Whoops, that's not right. There we are. Here we are. Here we go. That can not only bridge the two halves. Oh, and for some reason, to get more of a point over here, where it's just ends in a stub, if I change this limit to like 15, boom. It's kind of funny. I am mostly self-taught on Illustrator. Mostly, but in truth, there's still a lot I don't know how it or why it is the way it is, but it is. Let's get all this in on the headband there. Whoops. If I can select things properly, which is quite the if. There we are. Now we're cooking. Only one thing. I'm going to take this stroke color, select the same stroke color, and I'm going to make it a bit lighter. Yeah, there we go. Kind of looks like a bottle cap at the moment, but that could be part of the fun. And then my thought is, again, kind of inspired by Gotchard. Don't need a horseshoe on this. Oh my goodness gracious, what did I do to that? Good thing I still have cutie mark. Woo, that's not right. Let's enlarge these a little. going to do two things to approach this. So the stem of the quill, I shall unite into one shape. And this part shall also be united. There we go. And then I'll just add a little stroke over. Yeah. Uh-oh. Again, just increase the limit to like 13. A little too much, but we'll deal with that. That'll do. Okay, and here's my other thoughts. Let's see here. Gradients. My swatches. Do I have a rainbow gradient? Not at the moment. Open swatch library. Color books. Yeah. Gradients. There you are. What was it? Spectrums. Let's see, starting with blue and ending in green, that's different. I would rather start with red, however. Mostly because, like, okay, blue and violet. I gotta get my Roy G. Biv on. Let's see, I guess that's more red. Green's in the middle. Although that's a little... It's more, shall we say, pink. Yeah, there we go. Just a touch of it. So, once again, I'm failing to keep my tabs on the fine folks in the chat. Forgive me. Yeah, that looks a bit freaky. Freaky dicky. I know what I'll do, or at least I know what I'll try. Let's borrow a page from Rainbow Dash. So on this one, oh, it's also out of sync. Orange should go over here. But we're going to take red, yellow, and orange. I still got the pattern wrong. Geez. And combine it with green, blue, and violet. Or purple is... However, whatever the young kids are saying these days, get off my lawn. And we'll mirror this with the reflect tool. Bring it in. Uh-oh, there's that buffering again. And we're good. There we are. Okay. Initial thoughts. Intrigued by what I've created, but I feel like the eyes are a problem. Let's just simplify for just a moment. Cyborg Airman than Kamen Rider. Okay. Well, I think the rainbow, while I like the idea, yeah, maybe that's a little bit closer. Yes, people are saying the eyes are the creepiest part. Even now. Even with my replacements. Well, Kamen Rider does usually favor the bugs, but in what shape? Okay, let's start simple, shall we? That looks a little silly. What era do you see this version of Silver? Honestly, yeah, I guess it is more callback. It's older style. Yep, keep it simple. I'll call it silly. Keep it simple, silly. Kamen Rider Requill. Ooh, Swordbreaker. I like that. Actually, let's just do one other thing. Why not just keep the eyes I made for MLP and see how they look in here. Definitely more soulful. But I don't know if it would creep people out. Eyes in the dark. Am I right, folks? Let's also try one other thing. Just as an experiment. Ah. No, that doesn't work. Especially with the helmet. Yeah, goggles down might be the better way to go. Darth Revan, sorry. Your education on Kamen Rider may be limited, but insight into design can be universal. Design is like enjoying a meal. You may not be able to point out the technical aspects, but you know the impression it leaves on you. You know if you've had a good meal. It's when you're asked how do you make a good meal that, well, people might fall short. Okay, so yeah, I'm starting to think that goggles down is the better way to go here. Now, Sweetie Bloom, Power Rangers, and Sailor Moon are excellent examples. Oh, are you intrigued, Sweetie, by Sailor Moon Live coming to America? Actually, you know what I'm suddenly thinking? I'm thinking of Beetlejuice. In that scene where you see the back of his head. And he scares everyone. And I'm like, okay, Silver-Quill could do that to a monster. I'll defeat you by showing you my real eyes. Ah! And all we see is the back of his head. Gaiety, have a good night. And Goji Lion has also got to call it an evening. Well, I appreciate you both swinging by. Have a wonderful evening. And I will catch you all again soon. Me, I enjoy this, but I also kind of want to decompress for a minute. Okay, the layering is rather questionable, but I'd need to change the orientation of the goggles and all that. But I think this could work. I think goggles down is the best way to put it. But then I'll try to stylize the helmet just a little bit more. Yeah, I think you guys are right. I think goggles down is the way to go. And slim down the beak? The beak is bulky. A bulky beak blocking beauty. Well, the lower jaw is certainly... Funny thing is, this was copied from Silver-Quill the Hippogriff, so are you saying my beak looks fat? I don't know if I like that. Pokemon Fire EV, you liked it when it was just blue circles? I don't know. Blue circles... Well, I wonder what it is. Let's take a look at what inspired me for this redesign. This is Agent Billy Kid. Zenless Zero. Ha! I said it right! That is an unfortunate zoom in. Because I'm looking to get up here. Okay. What works for him having these eyes is that there's a definition. There's gray around it. Therefore, his eyes aren't simply floating in a black void. Well spoken, LB. On the hippogriff, it looked perfectly proportioned. On a human-esque, not so much. So, let's see. What can I do? Oh, because Enderpup couldn't be here for the whole thing, I don't know if anyone's been keeping track of how many times I said, let's see here. I said it a few times. I know that. The way it is right now. He's eyeing, his eyes are just going helter-skelter. It looks mad. I look like I should be like the Flying Baron. So what can I do here? Let's bring this down, but flatten it off. Make it look like an actual mask. Partly I'm doing this partly because I want to keep the air aesthetic, but also, yeah, I'm older, so why not go for an older aesthetic? No, don't want to do that. 1.5. Yep, A. Oh, no wonder this. Okay, a little redesign of the beak. Right now I look like a really wiggy nutcracker. Kamen Rider Nutcracker. Yeah, that'd strike fear in the hearts of evil. Rather than make them bug eyes, I might go and emulate this here. I don't know. Should it be 2 eye slots, like on here, here, and here, or a uniform one and have eyes sort of seen behind? Oh, decisions. I'll figure it out. 2. Okay, noteworthy says 2. Darth Revan says slim. Slim, the top of the beak. Okay, I get you. Although, I do appreciate those fun typos. Slime the top of the beak. Well, I mean, if there's a changeling nearby. The Red Baron. Thank you, Pokemon Fire EV. All right. Well, everyone, you've given me good thoughts and feedback. Although, I guess here's the ultimate question. Even though it's incomplete, I feel like this would work out better than this, because this just looks very alien. Would he be flying in any capacity besides rider kicks? Oh yeah. I'm also thinking of just taking this little shoulder armor here, stylized after the wings, and seeing if I could put it on the shoulders here. I'll see how that looks. But okay, I'm glad that the new mask fits the suit better, because that is one of the key elements. I want it to suit. Suit the suit. Excellent. And maybe I'll make these knee pads have like a silver patch or a quill patch, just to keep the theme alive. I can get this to work. I just need to play with it a little more, reorient a few things, and pray to the creative muses. Many prayers. But we're now later in the night. I don't want to keep you all any longer, and I'm eager for some din din. Kamen Riders are supposed to look mysterious. They are, Revan, but well, I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can even put a little gradient over the top so that it's partially masked. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a cool Kamen Rider. It's like, take a little biker armor and a little bit of bomber jacket aesthetics, and you're like, who's that old fogey? Eh? Well, I shall do a relax and go get some nums. So, everyone, thank you for wanting to talk in Kamen Rider with me, even if you don't know what it is and you stuck with me. I appreciate it. And I shall go look at Kamen Rider Ichigo, which is Japanese for number 1, I believe. But in any case, this has been fun. It's been a good time, so I wish you all a great Friday and an even better weekend. Until we meet again, be safe and be well. I'm Silver-Quill. Thanks for watching.